You guys are listening to the Jordan Garber Now podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Do you enjoy talking to your favorite wrestling superstars? Well, Jordan Garber Now has an opportunity for you. For only $5.99, you get to have a 10 to 15 minute conversation with any of your favorite Jordan Garber Now interviewees. Send me a Facebook message for more information. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jordan Garber Now podcast. We have Joe Ausanio on the show. He's our main event interview. I'm really excited about that. You know, this one guy, I just keep forgetting his last name. I don't know how to pronounce it right each and every time. You know, I think before the show, before I interviewed Joe, he would literally, we went through it like for a minute, how to pronounce his last name. And like, I heard of the ball player. Like, I know, like, probably my parents even watched him play in 95, 96, because that's when our guest pitched for the Yankees. But, like, man, I just felt so bad, like, butchering his name when I first called him and everything, and I probably did it again. So, but this guy, doesn't matter, while the name is spelled, it matters what he's done, it matters what he's accomplished, and Joe Ausanio has literally done it all. He's went all the way from the minor league organization to the Yankees, to working in the front office, to being a professional wrestler and having a professional wrestling event held at, where I think Dutchess Stadium, home of the Hudson Valley Renegades, which is a very, very good minor league program. Now, you're talking about... I just spilt my ball. We'll record this. We'll be back after a commercial break. Are you that wrestling fan looking for that perfect television package to meet your needs? Well, Real Aid Media has the perfect option for you. With the Wrestling Box promo, you pay for the box for $199.95. After that, you're only paying $29.95 per month with no contracts and no obligations. Real Aid Media also provides marketing services operating in 5 countries. To book an appointment or to get your wrestling package, go to stevenbenzelock.bookify.com. That's Steven Benzelock at bookify.com. Check it out. Real Aid Media, providing great wrestling content for a cheap price. Do you remember Real Aid Media? Well, the creator of that has another solution for you. Check it out. This is an emergency kit and a home safety evaluation for free. This kit has 180 pieces, such as a blanket, light stick, flashlight, cold pack, burn cream, and much, much more. This company is giving them away free to qualified homeowners, as well as a complimentary home safety evaluation for advertising purposes. The link available here is surveymonkey.com/r/204B. That's surveymonkey.com/r/204B. Check it out now. Alright, sorry about that. So today's interview is with none other than Joe Ausanio, former New York Yankees pitcher. I was doing the intro there earlier, and I actually spilt my bong at the same time, and you know that's the worst thing in the world if you spill your bong. It's absolutely, it's like your heart, like, flashes before your eyes. You just get that feeling. It's just the worst. You get so frustrated because it's fucking annoying to spill your bong, and that's what happens. So, I had to cut things short and quick cut to a commercial, but no, this is going to be a very exciting interview, and I have a good feeling it's going to reach out in a very way, shape, and form here for the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Remember, without our sponsors, we simply don't exist, and I'm also talking about a lot of non-wrestling topics as well. This episode doesn't really count because he is a wrestler too, and the ball player, so you kind of got a 2-in-1. But there's going to be times on this show where we're going to get people on that don't even have any involvement with wrestling like whatsoever. And that's because I want to increase the demographics of the Jordan Garber Now podcast to hit every single avenue. That way wrestling fans have a place to go and non-wrestling fans too have a place to go. So I look forward to providing all that as well. And I'm going to try to throw in some mini archived interview as well for today as well. So after these messages, we'll begin the interview with Joe. And I hope you guys have yourselves a great day. And with this pandemic, before I go to commercial, just remember, like, every little move makes a difference. The world is depending on our youth right now to make the right choice, and most of our listeners are in 25 to 31 category. Make the right decision. You know, if you have to go and get milk, that's fine, but like no partying with, 5 or more people. I'm sure you guys get the point. Just stay safe. And spend your time listening to other podcasts. I know there's many, many other great ones, like my own, that you guys can listen to. And spend the time and love family and treat people with respect during this tough time. We'll be back after this commercial break. Are you looking for the best vehicle for your needs at an affordable budget? Well, Hickman Auto Sales and Financing has exactly what you're looking for. Choose from a wide variety of vehicles like the 2012 Hyundai Tucson GLS, the 2016 Chrysler 200LX, and the 2020 Chevrolet Tahoe. All trades are accepted and paid off, and child tax, pension, disability, EI, social assistance, or self-employed are all approved. Low payments of $0 down. For more information, call 204-898-3511 or visit HickmanAutoFinancing.com. Tell them Jordan Garber Now sent you. Northern Wrestling Federation fans, obviously I really appreciate you guys taking the time to tune into the Jordan Garber Now podcast and continue to add your opinions of professional wrestling. You guys are the best fans in the world, and without you guys, there probably isn't going to be a Jordan Garber Now podcast. So all those fans in Ohio and Kentucky, without you, man, I don't know where we would be. But Northern Wrestling Federation, I want to interview the best in the organization. So I'm going to simply put out an open challenge to any man or woman in the back that wants to give this a go here on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. It could be the commissioner. It could be the bell ringer. It could be the referee. It could be the women's champion. It could be the heavyweight champion. It could be anybody. I want anybody here on the Northern Wrestling Federation to pick my brain so I can ask the best questions possible and deliver you guys a solid interview. So who's it going to be? We'll find out next week, Northern Wrestling Federation fans.
Newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
You heard them. Use promo code PowerSlam now. Alright guys, you wanted it, we got it. Our interview coming up next with Joe Ausanio on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event interview of the Jordan Garber Now podcast, and we are here with pro wrestler and former New York Yankees pitcher, Joe Ausanio. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, Jordan. Thanks for having me.
Well, you know what? You've had quite the career. You got to live your dream as a ball player. You got to work your way up through the low-level A affiliate all the way to the top, and even the rookie levels from time to time. And then you got to live your dream and wrestle some pretty big names. But let's talk about it all from the beginning, from after you've been drafted and from the 11th round. And from there on, you started your career in the Pirates organization, made quite a name for yourself, pitching in places like Watertown, Salem, Harrisburg, and eventually Buffalo, before eventually making your journey all the way to the Yankees. But when it all began in Watertown, was the feeling like kind of less than you thought. Like you got drafted, but now you're sitting here in the New York Penn League. So was this a very big dream come true for you, or is this like, okay, let's get to work, let's make it to the top?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Jordan, I think the biggest thing was, just hoping for that opportunity when you're in college. I pitched at Jacksonville University, and then when I got drafted in the 11th round by the Pirates, I was excited. It's something I had worked my whole life for. So I kind of just looked at it as an opportunity and was just hoping that it could last as long as I could make it last. And, you have to have some breaks along the way, and I got those. And things just happened to work out where I got to pitch for one of the most storied franchises in all of sports.
Well, no doubt about that. But like in Watertown, being a 22-year-old rookie, having a really good ERA and everything, were these numbers like 47 innings pitched, 56 strikeouts in your first year with 29 hits? You had a 2-4 record, but like whenever you clean up the innings pitched category with strikeouts with less hits, then you're doing something right. So was Watertown a big adjustment period for you? What was some highlights of that season and some players you played with that helped you take you to the next direction?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a great experience to play against all of the top players from colleges around the country. It was like facing an all-star team every night. And, I had so many teammates along the way that, helped me get better, and coaches that helped me get better. It would be nearly impossible to single anybody out, but I do want any of my teammates, if they are listening to this, to know that they had a small hand in my career, and I hope I had that in theirs.
Absolutely. Let's look at your second year with Salem too. You have a lot of leadership, playing with the young version of Moises Alou, who turned out absolutely into a great batter, great ball player. Some other guys like Carlos Garcia, Tony Longmire, and even some great pitchers like maybe not haven't made it too far into the majors, but definitely had a cup of coffee times 10, like Scott Ruskin. I remember watching him pitch, and Randy Tomlin, who can
Yeah.
forget him. So were there any of those guys in the second level that kind of gave you like a wake-up call, or was it just kind of flowing through the levels?
Honestly, Jordan, it was kind of just like a flow for me. It was the next step for me from Watertown, and I embraced everything, and it didn't matter what my role was. I seemed to inherit the role of the closer, both in Watertown and in Salem. And I kind of relished in that role. I like it. I liked it. I loved having the opportunity to go to the park every day, knowing I had a chance to pitch, and not being a starting pitcher and having to wait 5 days to get back out there. So I loved being a reliever. It was tremendous fun, but I also loved the work part of it, and just always trying to hone in on my craft and continue to try to get better every year.
Definitely. Now going into those higher levels and eventually making it after quite a long journey from 91 all the way to 94, reaching Double A and Triple A. When you're in Triple A and you're at that level for about 3 seasons, was there any anticipation, like when you're having a good week, like what, this is it, I'm gonna make it, this is it, I'm gonna make it, or you have a bad week and it's like, shit, I'm gonna get demoted or get released? Like, was that going through your head every day, or were you just playing with an attitude where you're just going for the goal?
Well, I think I had ups and downs. I think there were a lot of times when I was pitching really well, and I would see other guys on my team, in Buffalo, get called up ahead of me, and I would always question, like, okay, well, why am I not getting the chance? And it continued to happen and continued to happen, and finally, I remember Ted Simmons coming down to. I believe he was like our minor league director. He came down to Buffalo, and he had just said, he goes, I can't send you to the big leagues with just 2 pitches. So, I kind of took that to heart, and that off season, I worked hard on trying to develop a third pitch, and even though it wasn't the best pitch for me, I tried to develop a slider so that I had that third pitch, because I didn't want that to be an excuse for me not to be able to pitch in the big leagues.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy though. When 1994 hits and you finally get that call. What was like the first thing that Buck Showalter said to you?
I just remember him saying, just do what I did to get myself there, continue to do that, and everything would work out fine. He congratulated me on being there. I was lucky because I got called up during the All-Star break, so I got to fly to Yankee Stadium and just work out with the team because the team was starting the West Coast road trip with Seattle, California, and Oakland. So I actually had a little bit of a reprieve before I actually had to play. So I worked out at Yankee Stadium, took a shower, got on the plane, and flew out to Seattle for my first series, which was against the Mariners.
I remember that season, 1994. Wade Boggs just was amazing with the stick. I think his
Yep.
batting average was 3 point. It was unbelievable. So like you're playing with a leadership team. You're playing with a team full of roles. You're pitching with Jimmy Key, who's one of my favorite pitchers of all time. So when you
Yep.
step inside Yankee Stadium for the first time, and like just like in front of wrestling, you're working in front of crowds, but to work in front of a much larger one, like 50,000 people. What's that like for the first time? What went through your head when you pitched at Yankee Stadium? That's incredible.
Well, I remember, like I said, when I first got there before the All Star break, when I worked out, I just remember walking through the tunnel, and when you emerge from the dugout onto the field, this overwhelming feeling kind of comes over you because it really is true. The Yankee Stadium, it's hallowed grounds, and um, I think just a flood of emotions came over me as I was there, just kind of looking around and just trying to soak everything in. And fast forward, after the West Coast trip, when we returned to Yankee Stadium, our first series was against the Boston Red Sox. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, Yankee Stadium was packed, and there were busloads of people because I grew up in Kingston, New York, which was only 90 miles away from Yankee Stadium. So there were so many people there cheering me on and hoping that I got in the game, and I actually did get in the game that night. And I just remembered it being a blur when they told me to get up to warm up, and I was ready instantly. I was just so amped up, and I had adrenaline flowing through me like no other human being probably in the history of the world. But I just remember as I was running into the mound, I felt like I was running on a cloud. I didn't feel my feet hit the ground, and I'm kind of looking around, and I just kept saying to myself, I can't believe I'm doing this right now. It was almost an out of body experience, running from that bullpen to the mound that night.
Who was the first batter you faced? Do you remember?
Yeah, the first batter I faced for the Red Sox was Otis Nixon, and I ended up striking him out. And I struck out two of the three guys I faced that inning. And actually, I believe that video is actually on YouTube.
I have to check that
Like,
out. I remember Otis Nixon too. That's like a pretty big. Like that's not a guy who's played like 100. That's a guy that's actually played a while. I believe Otis Nixon.
yeah,
Yeah. So like,
yeah,
what was his?
he had
Sorry.
quite a career.
Was he
No,
staring
he
you
had,
down the plate? Was he hungry, or was he just like what was
no,
that like?
I think maybe he was surprised by my velocity, because my velocity was kind of sneaky, and my fastball kind of got. I threw him all fastballs, and I just kind of threw the ball by him. He didn't even foul a ball off.
But besides your fastball, what were some other pitches that you really developed in the minors that you got to put on the main stage that you enjoyed throwing? Like maybe it was a changeup you really threw, or a
Yep,
curveball, or
yep,
anything.
yep, yep. Well, like I said earlier in the interview, when I was in Buffalo, I had two pitches. I had a fastball and I had a split-fingered fastball or a forkball, depending upon what you want to call it. And then I developed a slider to have that third pitch. I could throw a changeup and I could throw a curveball, but I just didn't want to throw them because I just never wanted to get beat with my fifth or fourth best pitch. I always wanted to get beat with my better pitches. So. That's why I really, went after hitters with my fastball and tried to finish them with my split finger fastball.
No, nice. It's always how long does it really take to like come up with those like adjustments for pitches and everything, and come up with your own formula out of college? Does it take a few years to adjust to what you throw best, or do you just know right away?
Yeah, I picked up the forkball in college. When I was at Jacksonville University, we were playing another school, and back then we had to umpire ourselves. So I was umpiring behind the mound, and I was watching this guy throw this pitch. And I'm like, hey, I like that pitch. Can you teach it to me? And from that point forward, it just became a weapon for me. It worked out really well for me.
Awesome. Now, we'd like to do a top three here on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Top three teammates that you had in the minors and then the majors, if you could choose. And if you can't, that's totally all right.
Man, I had so many, but probably the first one that comes to mind is Darwin Penny. He was a guy I played with my first couple of years, but we ended up being roommates quite a few years in the minor leagues, and I think Darwin was, probably one of those guys who just was in the wrong place at the wrong time, because he was a very talented player, but he just didn't get an opportunity to play in the big leagues. But he's now works for front office for a major league team. I believe he's with the Kansas City Royals, and he's doing really well. So he would probably be the first guy I come up with. The second one's probably Blas Minor. Blas pitched for the Mets and a couple other teams in the big leagues, and Blas and I we had just a great time together. We both threw split-fingered fastballs and fastballs. We were kind of mirror-type pitchers. I was just better looking than him, so if he's listening to this, he'll laugh about that. And then, man, there's just so many. Some of my roommates, Ron Frazier, who he pitched at Clemson, and another guy who had a split-fingered fastball, Rich Hines, Mark Carper, Gary Thurman, Glenn Murray, Cliff Floyd. I mean, there's so many. I mean, name dropping galore here, but Brian Bowringer. I mean, I had so many good friends in baseball, and I'm still friends with them to this day.
What are the odds of this? Wow, I just looked this up now. Fast fact, Jordan Garber Now listeners. When we had Shane Newman on, we also had Stam. We played back a funny interview, actually. I'm going to tell you the same story I told Shane Newman. Stan Clyburn. I'm sure that name will ring a huge bell for you. He was your first manager.
Yeah, yep.
He managed the Sioux City Explorers when they were here. Sorry, I hit my microphone. But the Sioux City Explorers played here in Winnipeg, and Stan is such a good guy. Like, he was totally down to do an interview after, so we do, but it's fireworks night. So this is imagine me trying to get my first baseball interview here, interviewing Stan Clyburn, his manager, while fireworks are going off. We were able to get it done, and that goes today as my first baseball interview. And he actually talked about his time managing Watertown and everything. He said it was pretty good over there, so I'm not calling back into that. But, man, Stan Clyburn, playing for him, that must have been pretty fun.
I absolutely adore Stan Clyburn. And,
he's great. He's a character.
I tell him all the time, I could not have asked for a better first-year manager to have, because Stan was still playing. He was in Buffalo in 1988. He was catching up in Buffalo, and I think they went to him and said, "Hey, we want you to be an organizational guy and manage our team in Watertown." And how awesome is it to have a catcher who just knows the game inside and out be your first manager? And I think he loved running me out there to close games for him in Watertown. So, he was just one of those guys. I would just go up to him and say, "Hey, Stan, I'm good tonight." I call him Skip, and he was just tremendous to play for. Absolutely adore him.
And he managed for quite a while. I think he's still, before the pandemic, he was still managing. So I think that's something like a wrestling promoter, Tony Condello. It's in Stan's blood. He's going to do it until he cannot do it anymore.
Well, absolutely. And he does it well.
Oh, absolutely. One absolutely great manager. Great to have talked to him and hang out with him a few times here in Sioux City and Winnipeg. But, yeah, I looked up Darwin Penny. He actually had some great minor league stats as well. But, what's the number one thing as a baseball fan right now that people should focus on the game that's a positive? What are baseball fans forget when watching a ball game that makes it so good?
Um, I think, sometimes nowadays, uh, announcers and broadcasters, as well as, managers, they just get so caught up in the analytics of baseball and, the shifts and the shortening of the game with the bullpens. And I just, I love the purity of the game. And I think I miss some of the purity of the game that I grew up watching. And, just remembering, guys like J.R. Richard and Nolan Ryan and, having 20 complete games every year. And you just don't see that stuff anymore.
You don't.
It's just, I'm just a purist in the game of baseball. And I think I'm just disappointed in the leadership of MLB right now and how the game has started to trend. And, I think I miss, some of that. So I don't want the fans to forget just, how beautiful that game is. And it's just not about all analytics and those types of things that have dominated the headlines in baseball these days.
And I used to be the same way as a fan, whenever, because we have an independent baseball product here, and for me, all I really cared about was the major leaguers that came in. And because I'd have cards and everything, for instance, you'd fit that category. Say, Sioux City's playing, and Sioux City just signed you, and you have a team to prove yourself with, and you're coming down to Winnipeg. I'm going to get your card. I'm going to order it, and I'm going to make sure it gets signed. I'll do anything I can. So, that's another thing I kind of regret, too, is, when you watch minor league baseball or independent baseball, don't really worry about the level the players are at. That will adjust itself. Just focus on the game. And I finally learned that when a team that didn't really have any big name players came to play, and I just had one of the best times of my life. So it's not really always about the names or the numbers. It's about the game and the basics as well.
Absolutely.
What are some guys right now that you like watching the play? Who are some guys in the majors that you could watch forever?
Well, there's so many great players out there.
Tons, absolutely.
Um, I really I enjoy watching Jacob deGrom pitch. I enjoy watching Trevor Bauer pitch.
Great character. I love his character, Trevor. He's like a wrestler out there.
He should be a wrestler because he has the perfect personality to be one. And hitters, there's just so many good hitters these days. Charlie Blackmon, I don't care if he's hitting in Colorado or not. He's just a pure hitter. DJ LeMahieu is an incredible player, incredible hitter. And I said when the Yankees signed him that was the steal of the century. I knew how good he was.
He was around in the Cubs for a long time too, like Iowa for years, and then they finally just the Yankees got him, and they hit a home run with him. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, guys like that are they're fun to watch. But I enjoyed watching, the Hudson Valley Renegades, the team I work for. We've been a Tampa Bay Rays affiliate for over 20 years. And to see the Rays in the World Series, it was just fun to watch them. Diego Castillo pitch for the Renegades. And, it's just fun to watch these kids, progress and make their way to the big leagues. And I think now being a New York Yankees affiliate, it's going to be really fun, watching the next Derek Jeter come through.
Definitely, and I have a feeling that, once this pandemic is over and everything's settled, there's a lot of fans, whether they're baseball fans, anime fans, wrestling fans, anything, they're going to be more hungry than ever once crowds are available. And it's going to be really exciting once that ribbon gets cut and once people can, socialize and make things normal again. Things may never be the same, but as long as fans are going to be able to allow the back into the stadium and those gates open for all those bar parks, it's going to be really, really exciting. And that kind of brings me to my next question is, from all your years of player and everything you've done, what was it like transitioning into a front office kind of position?
Well, that was different. Obviously it was not something I was used to. I was used to being on the field, but it's been interesting being on the other side of the coin now for the last 20 plus years, and it gives you a greater appreciation for the behind the scenes stuff as a player that you don't know that goes on behind the scenes, and it gives you an appreciation for it. You know, it's definitely been a blessing to have been able to say hi. I've been in baseball for over 32 years now.
That's a long time. I'm 25, so that's like way over my
Yep.
age. So you have a lot and a lot of knowledge. But when you have all that knowledge for a long time, a wrestling promoter comes to your area and says, "Hey, you know what? Let's try this. Let's try and go with this. Ballpark brawl." Something done with baseball a
Yep.
long time. Big success it was. How did that go for you,
It,
that whole conversation? You became a wrestler.
it was it was huge. I mean, I remember the conversation like it was yesterday. It was Northeast Wrestling, and the owner of Northeast Wrestling and promoter, Mike, came into our office and met with our general manager and said, "Hey, we're going to do a wrestling show here." I'm like, "Oh, that's great. I'm a huge wrestling fan." And they're standing there in my office, and he's like, "I want you to wrestle." I looked at him and I said, I'm in my late 40s. This is no career change for me. I'm good. I'm going to just sit there and be a huge fan and uh, be, uh, be a fan and watch the show. So they leave and they come back like 10 minutes later and they're like, "Hey, listen, I really want you to wrestle. We'll put you in a tag match. You can, do a headlock and get out of there. And, we won't let you get hurt or anything like that." And I looked at him. I said, "You know what? I'll wrestle, but on one condition. If I wrestle, I want to train. I want to do it right because I don't want to just do a headlock. I'm somebody who wants to do everything perfectly and the right way. So I want to do it, and I want to do everything. I want to take bumps. I want to, um, you know, really just learn how to do everything." And he said, "Okay." And so I started training, and I was working with quite a few guys. And um, Lou Santiago was one of the guys who started in with me, as well as Hale Collins, Vic Delicious, and then I got to work with Tommy Dreamer as well. So it was really cool working and training with those guys and just learning the right things to do. But I think one of the funniest things was, they were like, "Okay, what are your skill sets? What can you do?" I'm like, "Well, I haven't really done anything, but I said I think I could throw a drop kick." And they said, "Okay, try it." So Vic got in the mat the ring with me, and I threw a standing drop kick, and I hit him right in the face. And Hale looked at me, and goes, "You're doing a drop kick on the show. We're gonna figure this out." And they said that I did really good, and I picked everything up really quick.
Wow. So from there on, how was the match at the show? Do you remember who you worked and everything? I think I could pull it up,
Yeah,
but
well, I was supposed to be, because this is a great story, Jordan. I was supposed to be tag team partners with Jerry the King Lawler.
oh
It was
wow.
going to be me and Jerry the King Lawler against Romeo Roselli and oh man, who was Romeo's
Antonio
partner?
Thomas, I think. Maybe.
No, no. Hmm, I don't know why the
Lawler
name
does a
is.
lot of these shows too, which is great. How was Lawler on that same show? Did you end up having a conversation with him?
What's that?
Lawler's a big name for these ballpark shows, especially down there in Memphis and Tennessee. Even New York, he's around there a lot. Yeah, what were some specific interactions you had with Jerry, if any, during that time?
Well, that's where I was going with this. So I was supposed to be partners with Jerry the King Lawler, and then a week before uh, our match was when he had his heart attack on live TV on Raw,
Oh no.
and yeah, so we didn't know what was going to happen. I had no idea. I was just training and just doing a few things, and then Mike came up to me, the promoter, and said, "All right, so we're going to put you with Gold Dust now." So um, Gold Dust became my partner for the show, and it was absolutely incredible that uh, that I got to work with him. And Romeo. I don't know if you saw the film of the match. That's on YouTube as
Yeah, I
well.
watched it.
It is absolutely hysterical because Romeo came up with all of the skits that we did, and doing the baseball strikeout scene in the middle of the ring. I mean, he said we're going to make history with this, and the crowd. I said this is the corniest thing ever. He goes, the crowd's going to love it, and Jordan, the crowd ate it up. It was the funniest thing ever. Um, but yeah, I mean, Gold Dust was just incredible because he was just supporting me the whole time. He's like, man, I wish you had gotten into this business at a younger age. He said because you were outstanding out there, and I loved doing it. But I'll tell you what, I give wrestlers so much credit of what they put their bodies through day in and day out. I did it, just a few times, and I remember getting up to go, to the bathroom in the morning, and not realizing just how sore I was on my way to the bathroom, and just knowing that these guys do this, 200 plus nights a year, how they beat up their bodies, that I give them all the credit in the world. It's not an easy gig at all.
No, it certainly isn't, especially when I got back from the Northern Death Tour, 15 days roughing on the road. It was hard,
No.
but you know what? Once you get through it and once you finish your match or even finish refing a match or going on the road or training, you get that feeling of accomplishment. And the thing about wrestling is you never stop learning no matter what, and that's the best
No,
part.
not at all.
It'll be
Oh, I
forever.
remember. It was Romeo Roselli and Luke Robinson. Luke
Luke
Robinson
Robinson,
was his.
yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, yeah.
So after those
And
few
he was great to work with as well.
definitely. Did you feed off the crowd right away? The crowd is the adrenaline rush. It was probably an adrenaline rush just like before you pitched for the Yankees. So, like, how did you adjust with that, with working with in front of different types of crowds? Maybe you worked in front of one big kind of crowd, but throughout other matches in
Yep.
your career, what were the adjustment like through pitching, through working different crowds?
I would say the wrestling crowd is, um, I would describe them as rabid fans. Like they can't get enough, and they are buying into everything that's going on as if it's the real thing. And the passion that they have, the passion that they bring during the autograph sessions, during, uh, it's almost like they are part of the show. And I think that that's the thing that was the most enjoyable part of wrestling for me, was that the fans basically get to interact. They get to you know do the cat calls. They get to slur the insults where at a baseball stadium you really just hear white noise in the background, where at the wrestling matches I could hear individual voices. I could, when I'm on the mat getting pounded on or stomped on, I can hear that guy in the second row saying, you should have stuck to baseball, stuff like that. It just resonated with me, and I was just like, man, these people are just crazy, but they love it.
They love it, they embrace it, and they certainly experience it. Joe, we had 30 minutes of some great talks here. I think I covered everything I'm supposed to. I guess my last question for you would be, watching Major League Baseball now and even the WWE with the way they're doing the Thunderdome and the way they're doing the cutouts. We have one here of former pitcher Mark Hamburger here in the background, one of my favorite pitchers of all time.
Okay.
So what do you think of like baseball doing the cardboard cutouts for the fans? Do you think that's something they should do, or should they do a Thunderdome like WWE?
I kind of like the cardboard cutouts. I kind of laughed at them because, again, you can kind of put your own little spin on it. Like, you see cartoon characters, you see caricatures, you see real people's faces. I really liked the cardboard cutouts. I thought they were, pretty cool. Um, I think we're all hoping, Jordan, that, this summer that we'll all be able to be back at a baseball stadium again, watching live baseball with
I hope so.
fans, and, eating popcorn, hot dogs, drinking some sodas, and
Getting autographs.
getting autographs, being able to talk to people. This whole thing has been a challenge for all of us, but hopefully we can get back to some normalcy soon.
Just one day at a time, I feel. everyone treat
Yeah,
everybody right with respect, whether that's an older person or a child. You know, everyone deserves to be treated with respect during this time because you never know what anyone's going through right now.
absolutely.
Well, Joe, you've been absolutely amazing. I want to thank you more than for all the contributions and help. How about just tell me about what your projects you're doing right now and where people can follow you on social media before we wrap things up?
Sure, Jordan. I mean, you can follow me on Twitter, xyank54, EXYANK54. I'm on Facebook. I don't have an Instagram or I don't do Snapchat or any of the other ones, but I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook. And feel free to reach out or at me. I'm more than happy to interact with fans. And I'm working right now still for the Hudson Valley Renegades, which is now a New York Yankees Class A affiliate, and I'm still coaching Division I college softball at Marist College. So I stay busy, and it's nice I get to go to a baseball field or a softball field every day for work.
A Division I coach, a former pro wrestler, and someone currently in the front office of the New York Yankees minor league system, and a former Yankee. I can't ask for a better guest. Joe, you're the man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jordan. Thanks for having me.
Are you a wrestling fan? And do you like collecting wrestling merchandise? Well, Hot Shots Retro Rewind and Wrestling Collectibles is the place for you. They have t-shirts, action figures, DVDs, and autographs available. Check it out. Hot Shots Retro Rewind and Wrestling Collectibles on their public Facebook group. And what a great interview. You know, it's not every day we could say we have a pitcher from the New York Yankees on the program, but, you know, we got to thank Joe for his time. It was such a great in-depth interview, and it's good to see that he's doing well with his health and everything. And, man, I love interviewing wrestlers, and I love interviewing ball players or anybody. You know, interviews like that just make me know that this is what I love to do, and providing episodes to everybody around the world is what I love to do. And, to have a New York Yankees pitcher on the program, I'm pretty happy about that. That is definitely a home run for us. And yeah, we might have not, you know, had a jam-packed card, but some of those names matter, and especially a former New York Yankee to be on our program was absolutely amazing. So thank you so much, Joe. I wish you nothing but the best, and thank you very much for your over 30 minutes of discussion and talkabouts in the world of baseball and wrestling. Some really good stories we got into there. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Jordan Garber Now, and next Friday I'm going to have a little more for you guys, and of course I'm going to probably deliver at least 2 or 3 news updates next week, so stay tuned for that. You guys can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Spreaker, as well as Radio Public and iHeartRadio. For myself, Jordan Garber, and the Jordan Garber Now podcast, you guys have yourselves a great day, and please stay safe out there.